Welcome back. I thought I would just jump right in right away. I have so many things that were bubbling to the surface after my intro video that I just wanted to keep going. So, we are going to talk a little bit about pausing. So, we're going to do a whole lot of different things in here, but I thought if we're going to grow and we're going to learn and we're going to experience truth and try to stay kind first and foremost with ourselves, but also with others in this community, pausing is a really important piece of that. So maybe you've heard of this skill, maybe you haven't. I think a lot of people just can learn how to do this on their own or automatically already do it. They didn't need anybody to tell them. But I thought that we would just start with a little bit of the basics and how to be mindful during the pause. I think that's where the skill piece comes in, is we can all just like, okay, right? But what are we actually doing during that process? So when we're pausing and being in the moment, these are some of the things that you want to try and notice. You want to try to notice thoughts, behaviors even. I've had people tell me that their brain feels like a typewriter at times when they're feeling stressed or when a lot's going on. So it can feel very unique to you. You may have a unique way of describing it, but it's really about just noticing what is that for you. How are you feeling? What sensations? What's going on in your body? Is your heart rate going up? Is your breathing getting faster? Are you sweating? So those are some physiological things. If you don't notice any of that and all you have is behaviors or thoughts or automatic feeling of like, I want to get out of here, make this stop, that's all okay. Just notice where you're at and pay attention to it. Another really important thing to remember about pausing, and the way I like to do things is come up with real analogies that work for people. A pause is really an intention to come back to something. So you think about hanging out on your couch and maybe you need to run and get a snack, or you need to go to the bathroom because it's been 3 or 4 hours, we've been binging Netflix, it's time to take a break. We pause, right? With the intention of coming right back. Otherwise we would just stop or shut it down or turn it off. So when we're pausing for ourselves, it's very much like that. We're trying to just take a moment for ourselves to, notice what's going on, maybe gain some insight, but the intention is to come back into the moment. So when we're able to pause successfully and be present, what we're really doing is we're giving ourselves time. We're lengthening our circuit board, right? Again, this can just be seconds. It doesn't have to be long periods of time. So what we're doing during that time when we're able to successfully pause is we decrease our reactivity to the experience and the moment. We increase our capacity, our ability to withstand what's happening in the present moment, even when it's really painful. We also increase our capacity to have more awareness, be curious, and also be able to have intention in the moment. So having intention is, how do I want to react to this? What do I want in this situation, right? Is there anything I can control in this situation? All of that can happen within seconds. So that is a whole lot in just a little bitty, I feel like it's one of those, pill-packed things where it hits a lot of buttons just by trying to do one thing. So we're really going to talk about how to pause, because I think that that's where a lot of people end up getting caught. It's like, sure, this all makes sense. That sounds great. When I'm, in the middle of traffic or my partner's saying something that I can't tolerate, or, I'm reliving some kind of experience that's really triggering and hard for me, I don't know how to pause. So that's what we're going to talk about next. So how we pause is just as important as knowing what we're doing when we pause, if not maybe more important. So I would say that you have to really consider one of two things. things are usually not so binary in my discussions, but every once in a while, a lot of people tend to be in one of two camps. So either they feel really safe and comfortable in their bodies and not safe and comfortable around them, or vice versa. They feel really safe out here, but being in the body can be really reactive. I don't want to tell you how to do you. Remember my first video? Follow your truth. What aligns with you? Trust that. However, I'm going to give you a couple different things. I like to start with the idea of aligning outside, orienting outside. Orienting is a way of getting present and noticing what's going on around us and in us. So when we're orienting to our space, you want to keep it kind of like just putting your gaze down in front of you, maybe right past the tips of your toes, or like I'm sitting in a cross-legged position on my chair. However, I could just look right past the edge of the chair and just notice how that's feeling for me. And then I can either move more into my body or further out, depending on where I'm noticing activation. Again, breathing is a good cue of like if you're breathing faster versus slower. If you're starting to get really antsy and moving around a lot, then it might be time to change it up, go further out or come further in. So it's also good to, even if you're not focusing on your breath, let's say we're focusing way out there, we're focusing on the corner of my ceiling, right? So I can focus on the corner of that ceiling and also be intentional with my breath, of just trying to slow my breath down. There's tons and tons and tons of good material out there for breathing exercises. But as long as you're breathing from your diaphragm, it's right under your, like in that little area where my camera's not quite there, but that little area where your rib cage kind of comes up. Our diaphragm is there, so we can breathe. Just release, right? We can try to do those intentional breaths even while being outside of our body. If you're a person who enjoys being in your body, doing the breathing work, checking in, doing body scans, being able to, on the outside, for the outside people, count circles, squares, triangles in your area around you. So if I was doing squares, you can't all see, but I have you sitting on top of a table that has a lot of tiny little squares. So that would keep me quite occupied counting those squares for a while until I start to, again, kind of come back into the moment. So those are ways that we can pause. Really, we can do anything that's mindful, that feels good for us. We can massage our palms. Again, I'm going to trust that you're going to know what's best for you, but those are just some suggestions to get you started with how to start to pause. So we're good, we're grounded, we've paused, we've noticed. How do we come back? Well, the basic is we try to come back and be curious. What is this about? What's going on here? So much of the time when I've had a reaction as a person, as a therapist, however, just walking around in the world, and I've been able to pause, a lot of the times the question that I have found useful is, what feels possible? Now that I've noticed this, now that I know what's going on, even if I don't truly understand it, what can I do with this information right here in this moment? So that can be a good way to not judge ourselves for having the reaction that we're having or noticing what we're noticing. And also maybe coming back into that moment, we can, at that point, use any other skills, right? Set boundaries, take a time out, which is kind of a longer pause. Like, I need some time and space to actually process something. your resources, right? Tap into your resources. We're asking ourselves what is possible, right? So that might not be ideal, that might not be exactly what we want, but it's just right here, right now, in this moment, with the information that I have currently. I have to come back into this moment, and then what do I feel like I'm capable of doing, and what do I need, right, in the long term, in the short term. So it takes a little bit of practice. And again, nobody's perfect. We're all gonna miss the mark from time to time and be like, oh wow, yeah, I really needed to slow down or come back in a different way. It's all learning. You're just in the experience. All right, so we've learned today that pausing is an important step for pretty much anything in life. We're also setting the stage for work that we can get into, things I can share with you, because then I can say things like, now might be a good time to pause and check in with yourself. And we've learned what you're noticing, how to notice, and how to come back from the pause. Also the benefits of pausing. So we've covered a lot of ground in a short amount of time. Thank you for tuning in. I hope that you get some chances to practice this. I know that life gives us ample amount of time and experiences to be able to go and practice pauses. So hopefully you get to try and do that. If you have any success or have any more questions, please comment. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and I very much appreciate you being here, staying through to the end, and I will see you soon.